What I would like to do today, guys, is talk to everybody about monkeyBOT, which was a side project of mine that has now become a quite integral part of how I trade. And this is for me, it's a big deal because I've been trading for 13 years or so. I've been involved in the markets for almost 20 years. And so, whenever you have something come around that actually changes how you trade fundamentally, or at least see the market in a different way, it it is important. It's something to take note of. And so, what I'm going to do in the next, I guess, hour or so, we're going to keep it thorough, but also very clear and simple to understand. Because for some of you guys, this might be the first time you even hear about this. And so, we're going to walk you through like how it started, what it looks like, how to use it, and then now also how it's integrated into our community here at Trading with Insight. Okay, so that's kind of pretty simple, straightforward. I don't really have a script. I don't have a plan. What I want to do here is just give you my take on it, and then as you have questions, feel free to please post it in the chat, the free chat inside of Trade with Insight, as well as the WAP chat. So the chat next to the live stream that you're watching right now. Okay. So let's rewind. MonkeyBot started as a side project of mine, and it started mostly, me trying to get into and work with AI and see how and what I can do with it. And the goal was that it was just learning, right? But I had an idea, and the idea was how can I create something that could help me, eventually can help others see the market in a way that I see it, right? Because I have a certain way at looking at S&P 500 and other, obviously individual stocks. I use all kinds of different, I guess, parameters or variables, and then from all of that input, I come up with a thesis uh, that usually leads to a trade idea. Okay, and then we can take action on the trade idea. So I've been trading SPX for many, many years. I've been trading SPX 0DTE for years as well. And I've had a pretty good record. And so I felt always very confident in the fundamentals on how I trade the S&P 500. But going back to me developing the system, basically the goal was to create an indicator or a suite of indicators that could help me kind of time my entries. Okay. And I'm going to show you exactly like how I do it. I'm going to be very, very clear. Um, but if you're watching the screen here, you can see on my screen, this is monkeyBOT. Okay. And there's actually another panel that I'm going to expand that will show you another kind of portion of it, that these three panels that you see in front of you here is basically monkeyBOT. Okay. And monkeyBOT is obviously just a spin on my name, the Space Monkey. But these three panels basically will plot out longs or shorts. Like that's all it does, really. There's nothing really to it. Now, how it does that, I think, is more interesting. And what it does, as I said earlier, it takes in a lot of different variables. It takes in a lot of different things, crunches the numbers, and then gives you a signal. So we're going to get into that, and then we're going to get into the different versions of monkeyBOT because you have multiple ways of being exposed or leveraging the system, um, which we'll get into in a bit. One of the variable that it looks at is VIX, right? Is VIX trending up? Is VIX trending down? What's the like how aggressive is VIX and so on, right? Another thing it looks at is volume delta. And so that's the panel in the middle here. It tells you how strong the buyers are versus how weak the buyers are. And we get into this a little more in detail in a bit. I just want to give you a little overview. Now, the tick is, how many stocks are ticking or moving up versus down. So we plot that out from the start of the session and we get a trend. We have a smooth moving average, and then you have this tick per, basically minute. And then it tells us if we have a strong trend to the upside, if we have a weak trend to the downside, so on. Okay. So those are just few of the variables. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything because that's not the point. But what I would like you guys to just understand is just there's a lot of stuff under the hood that's going on here that makes up the the signal, trade, up or down. And those signals on the indicator within trading view, and for now this indicator is within trading view only, shows up as these kind of the string or the text that you see here with the arrow, either up or down. So these are two examples of long signals. And then you have, this is an example of a down signal. Okay. And the colors are fully customizable. I've just chosen these colors, the cyan, magenta. You can do whatever you want. There's also a light theme for the indicator. So if you're more of a light mode, if your background is white, you could change that to look good, work well for you, and how you see things. Okay. Um, the dotted lines in my chart here, you can just ignore those. Those are just simple, smooth moving averages, SMAs. I use the 9, the 20, and the 50. It just gives me additional kind of confidence when I'm taking trade. I, for example, use the 9 moving average on the 10-minute chart for staying in the trend, or understanding what the trend is. So what you're seeing here is today's session. Today's session is basically this here. Okay, on the 10-minute chart, you can see that we've been pretty much all day after this gap up. We've been riding this yellow dotted line, which is the 9 moving average on the 10-minute chart. For many members, understand this and know this as the 9 on 10. I use this for various, in various ways, but one way is obviously it tells us what the trend is. Now, when that breaks, it often, basically breaks the trend. You want to see that recaptured, which we did over here, which was kind of the signal for me to go long. A couple other things that you see in the chart here. You have these, and they might be hard to see. So I'm going to try to zoom in here. You have these colored lines, zone high, orb low, PC, and so on. Okay. And so all of those lines are auto drawn on the chart for you every session. And they mean different things. But they're very important. Okay. Um, so the first thing I'm going to kind of point out is this kind of cluster of blue lines over here. Um, it's hard to see, but it says PC. Right? PC stands for previous close. So that is where we closed last session, right here. And then the second most important thing is the orb high versus the orb low. So this is the range that we set in the first half an hour of this trading session. Okay, so this is a 10-minute chart. You can see that the first three 10-minute candles made up this range. And so 6-9, 6-7, and the orb high was 6-9-8-8. And so why is this important? The orb range will dictate what kind of day it is. Okay? Is it a chop day, is it a range day, or is it a trending up or trending down day? Okay? Because that helps us kind of with the signals, and it helps the engine understand what kind of signals it should give you. Basically, it's a way to remove a lot of false signals from the engine. And I can give you a good example. If price is within the orb range, there are a lot more reversal signals that you will see. Because in a range, you can short the highs and you can go long the lows until that fails. And then you'll enter a different kind of day, which is, or day type rather. And SPX is pushing higher here. I think we're getting some sort of news. We'll see. Um, if you're above the orb high, that means you're in a trend up day. All right, so I think we just get the Fed beige book that the data just came in, and yeah, our call's in the money here now. As I said, I'm gonna probably have to manage this here. Oh, you saw that yellow candle? That's a good preview of volume coming in. And I'm trying to exit here, guys. I just exited at 8, actually. So I exited another partial here at 8, guys. Okay. So I caught that nicely. All right. So that we had the 7,005 call. We took it from $3 to $8, up about 170% on that pop. So now I'm holding just runners. Um, so as a headline, Iran could consider ships being able to sail through the Oman side of Strait of Hormuz without interference. So I'm sure you'll see oil pushing lower, and could be a nice little trade short here. Going back to this here. So let's use today as an example, right? Um, we have this 30-minute range. We finally broke out of it. You can see we saw this expansionary candle. EXP stands for expansion. It's one of the signals that you will see in the indicator. We'll walk through all of them soon. But EXP just means that the candle expanding in such a way that it's above the average in terms of volume and range, and it often signifies a really nice, quick move. Okay, that could be taken advantage of, especially if you're a scalper. Those are really good scalping candles that could become more. Now, we broke out and then failed, and we came back. And on the back test, you can see that we back tested the orb high here. So the orb high, once we broke through it, that is now support. And look at that. It held and we pushed into new highs. And we caught a nice little expansionary candle once again to the upside as we tested 7,000. Now, I would say that today's range is unusual because we're dealing with 7,000. We're dealing with all-time highs. And so, it's not the best example, but I'm still going to talk about it because it played out really nicely. So once you are above the orb high, your trend up day. Okay, you can see here it says trend. So you're in a trend up day. It's prudent to take to buy dips on trend up days, right? And so you often get up signals during these kind of days. Now, had we broken lower here, below the orb low, that would have been a sell every pop kind of market. We're not there. Okay. So, but for you to understand what's happening inside of the engine here or the model, basically, it will identify what kind of day it is and it will adjust the signals accordingly. So you don't have to be worried about, um, you know, too many false signals. Um, and so we're constantly improving this, but I think we're in a really good spot. So, for example, yesterday, there was only one real signal end of day in the monkeyBOT like Discord channel that moved from 3 to I think 15 plus. So it basically caught this, this entire move higher. You can see that on the chart, it kind of gave you the same thing. Okay, so it's, in terms of like the anatomy of the engine, this is what it is. Now let's move down to the second panel. The second panel down here, there's a lot of stuff going on. Now to the left, you have the dashboard, which basically it takes a lot of the data under the hood and it surfaces it for you. So it tells you what kind of trend. It tells you if the volume delta is bullish or bearish. It gives you this tick sentiment, the VIX sentiment, and it gives you a bullish or bearish or normal sign. Okay, and so you can see everything is bullish here, and we're pushing into new all-time highs, right? Sometimes you'll see one bullish, one normal, one bearish, and it's usually when it's more of a choppy environment. Um, it also could tell you the nearest level if there is one. Tells you the distance. So if you're close to the orb high or orb low, it will kind of tell you all that data. So it's all here. Now, status is the last kind of data point I would like to kind of pay attention to here. And that shows up when, there's a pending trade. If there's a pending trade, and we'll talk about it in a bit, this will tell you that's a pending trade. That means get ready. You could, get ready. And if you're very aggressive as a trader, you could take it, or you can wait and you could take it upon the signal. So that's all I have to say here. Now, this panel here, volume delta, if you understand how this works and if you learn how to read this, all these signals don't matter because you'll be able to almost front run the long and short signals that the monkeyBOT will do. Not always, but it will give you very, very good signals, or it gives you very informed data points that you can yourself kind of decipher and take trades upon. And so, just a few minutes before we started this, I actually took this SPX 7005 call, and I didn't take it because it was a signal. I took it because I saw that the environment was very close to, facilitating along. And so I kind of front ran it because I saw a lot of different things that, felt right and looked good, and I wanted to take a shot at it. And you can see the result of that, perhaps luck, maybe, I just got in at the right time. It moved almost 170%. But the volume delta tells you what's happening under the hood on this particular candle that moving here, that is moving here. Okay, so everything above the zero, there's a zero line here. Everything above is bullish, and everything below is bearish. Right? Pretty simple. So this is your bullish, and this is your bearish side. Now, when you have a huge bar here, a blue bar, let's call it. When you have this bar pushing higher, it just means that the buyers are getting stronger and stronger and stronger for that particular 10-minute candle. And sometimes you get these kind of like sparks, right? Like where it just goes really big. It's just on the open of a new 10-minute candle or 15 or whichever, you'll get that kind of like flash. But ignore that. What's important is what's happening here. And so what matters here is this. If there's one thing you should take away from this area here is this. If there's a green candle and the volume delta is pushing lower, that is divergence that you need to pay attention to. That just tells me that it's not a real strong green candle. It might be a fake green candle to the upside. Okay? So the way I use it is if I see a red candle push lower, but the delta is zero or even above zero in the positive area, that could just tell me that it might be a dip buy. Okay, that is all you need to know about this. Okay, there's a lot more to it. Like anything else, the more proficient you become, you can start drawing divergences and stuff like that. But we don't need to do it. The only divergence I care about is for the candle. You'll also see the bar kind of it could grow. So you might see something that looks like this. As we are pushing higher, the bars or the buyers are getting stronger, right? And on the opposite side of things, if you have price moving higher, right? If you have price moving higher, and uh, the 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 volume delta is actually moving lower, like this, right? It just means that the sellers are absorbing the buyers. They're basically, selling into it, and you might see a reversal. And so that's another kind of technique that I take advantage of or leverage here as I'm trading. Is this push into the highs getting weaker and weaker, and maybe I need to take profit. Is this something that I need to kind of buy, or if you're already in a position, do you just keep holding because the buyers are strong here? So there are a lot of various ways you could use this. Lastly, here the tick, the cumulative tick down here. It just tells me how strong the trend day is, right? Did we open below zero and pushed higher all day? It just means that the strength of the trend is improving or getting stronger. You can see that today we started off right here near zero, and we have basically uh, stair stepped higher all day long, and that is significant. That is all you need to know, really. Um, these lines are important. As I said, orb high, orb low, extreme, and you have maximum all the way up here. So the the higher up you get here into these, the more significant they are as resistances, and the same goes for down here as support. So if you have price moving into it, you'll expect a bounce. You'll expect the engine also treating price differently around these areas. You might see reversals and stuff like that if all the data points line up accordingly. So that is the indicator within TradingView, and that's all you need to really know. Now, for you guys that have been using it for a few days, and many of you that are part of TWI, we've opened up the indicator for you for the next 10 days, starting Monday. And the reason for that is that we want everybody to get exposed to this indicator. There is a little bit of I would say, a learning curve, but it's not a huge one. It's more, of a, spending some time with the resources that we have. We have various educational resources. It's learning how these things work interchangeably. And we know that if you put in the time, this is gonna change the way you trade SPX, but also other things like individual names. And so now we're gonna get into the settings. If you double click this panel, the dashboard, you have all these settings, and I would advise to refrain from changing anything. These settings have been tested thoroughly over the last, I don't know, 6 months almost. And I would say most of these are not touchable unless you're changing the color. Do you want the light theme or the dark theme, depending on the background of the charts? SPX new all-time highs here. Do you want to change what is the bullish color? What is the bearish color? And it will change throughout the entire indicator for you. Uh, the signal size. So you see these like arrows, and it says EXP. You could change the size of these. So if these are too small for you, we can make them bigger. Okay, so just a few like accessibility settings that you could adjust according to what feels right for you. So I like it on normal. Um, and everything else just leave as is. Okay, there's no reason to change anything. If you change one thing, your signals would be different, and I'm not going to be able to back that signal because I can't really kind of attest for that. You may change it. Maybe you'll find something that's better. That's totally cool. It's within your purview to do whatever you want if you have the indicator. Okay, you have full control. The defaults for me work really, really well. The one thing that I would kind of give you a heads up on changing would be if you're uh, trading monkeyBOT other than SPX. Let's just say we're trading Tesla with monkeyBOT. Um, the the parameters I would kind of change it to would be this base EXP delta threshold. It's this down here, and we've talked about this in the chat. So many of you are familiar with this. But what I found um, works well is if you change it from 600,000 to 1,000, and that will give you. You see this showed up here, right? It will give you a lot better results. And so, uh, let's just go for Apple today. Oop. You see, I had a few. You caught this. This is an orb high, the first 30-minute range. We got a breakthrough back test. Look at that, 260, 84. We talked about the 261 in the room. We need to break. We actually broke it, and it moved from 261 to new highs, 266 almost. And so, if you're trading stocks, change the setting to 1,000. If you're trading SPX, I would change it to 600 and 1,000 on the base EXP delta threshold. Everything else, keep it the same. That is important. Now let's go back to SPX. I've covered a lot already, and what I would say is this, right? We have put together a pretty thorough handbook, and the handbook covers a lot. The handbook is available to all members, um, and it's a really good resource for you to go and familiarize yourself with. It will cover a lot. It will tell you what the three different signals are, right? And so, how about we go through them? You have expansion signals, which are EXP on the chart. These identifies, trends and big buying. Momentum is something that you see often after expansion. We have big moves, fast moves. It tells you how strong a trend is, meaning it tells you if the buyers continues to push, and it's often a really good way to stay in a trade. And then lastly here, reversals. The reversal signal is on the chart seen as REV. REV signals are reversal signals. Those are signals that you often see around resistance levels or support lines. It will tell you if circumstances here are um, uh, starting to look like a potential reversal area. So you often see this in the orb range, as I talked about earlier. It often signals a REV minus or plus, which just tells you if it's an important level or not. REV minus or plus, right? Long or short. Now, um, we have to talk about the two different ways you could trade monkeyBOT, and the different ways you could trade monkeyBOT is simply you have the monkeyBOT trading view indicator, which gives you full control. You could trade SPX, you could trade individual names, you could change the settings. It's for the person that is active and like to get their hands dirty, that like to scalp, that like to have multiple signals during the day. And then we have the other way you could trade this, which is through the monkeyBOT channel within the Discord. Okay, so we have three different channels within Discord that are dedicated for monkeyBOT, and this is a different plan that you can subscribe to, and you will not get the indicator in terms of you being able to install it, change to QQQ or individual names. None of that. It's a very simple signal Discord system that is based on the 15-minute monkeyBOT signals. And we're going to get into like exactly how those are triggers triggered. But you can see that the 15-minute looks a little bit different from the 10, and the 15 will look very different from the 30. So it's time frame dependent, or depending on the time frame, you might have different signals, and it's just because of what's happening under the hood. But we've come to the conclusion that if we're gonna tie this in to a Discord alert system, the 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 best way to do it, at least for if you think about the frequency of getting signals versus the quality of each signal, we found that 50 minutes is a really good, kind of in between. The 10-minute is a little faster. You might see a few more signals. The 5 minutes, even more so. The 30 minutes is a little bit, it feels a little slower, but those signals are, I would kind of say, well, I would very confidently say, have higher confidence score for me. So basically, if I'm seeing a 30-minute monkey trigger, I'm very, very interested in trading that. And when I traded this long here, I saw the 30 flashing yellow, which we'll get into here, what that means in a bit. Okay, so um, the 2 minutes I don't really trade on, but you can see that you get a lot more signals. So for scalpers, that could be something. So basically, what I'm saying is that the indicator you could use on any time frame, versus the Discord alerts are just that, alerts. But um, let me show you what that looks like, and then we're gonna talk about it. So what I'm kind of trying to do here is, I'm trying to go to the monkeyBOT channel. So as I said, we have 3 channels uh, that I look at, and uh, let me see if I can show my Discord. Yeah, I don't, this is fine. All right, so this is my Discord. This is obviously Trade with Insight. This is our Discord room. What you see here is the monkeyBOT channel. This is a monkeyBOT signal or alerts channel, and all it does is post signals. Occasionally, I will post interesting commentary that I feel gives you more value. So if I see something, sometimes I call it out. I try to post commentary here for everybody, just because I think I can bring a little bit more to it. But at its base, this channel is all alerts, and the alerts look slightly different, right? You have the SPX short with the arrow down, and it tells you the price. And then within this system here, it gives you a few different variables to look at. And these are derived from the actual indicator, the 50-minute indicator. Okay. It gives you the trigger. So the trigger is the price of which the indicator, um, basically, um, found, all the different variables lining up in such a way that it triggers a long or a short. That's basically what it is. And it gives you the exact price of it. So see, as if you're in a room and you're following somebody, they give you a price of the option that they're entering. Like, you want to try to get as close as possible to that price, right? Otherwise, you might be paying up or paying, or if it goes lower, that's also a different way to look at it. But the trigger is basically the price of which the indicator actually triggered that long or short. The type just tells you if it's a reversal or expansion or Momo, which we talked about too. And then um, the current SPX price. There is a slight lag, as you can see, 6997.34 versus the current price, 6998. And this slight lag is not often there, but sometimes it is. And it all depends on, sometimes you have fast moves due to news, and you have this huge candle. And by the time the signal is actually sent to Discord, there's a little bit of a discrepancy. And so we've added this current SPX price to give you a clear picture of, like, what the price is right now, what the price was when the trigger happened. So you can always look at those and kind of estimate, like, is this a good time for me to enter this alert or is it not? And then lastly, here is the trade idea, right? It gives you a trade idea. And I would just kind of tell you all that this is just a trade idea. It's not something that's set in stone, right? It's up to you to figure out if it's the right trade idea. It's often a really good one, but maybe you're more comfortable with taking a day out puts instead of a zero DTE or 2 days out. You could do that. You could do whatever you want, really. But this trade idea is there for you if you want to have some sort of guidelines. And then lastly, here, actually give you a snapshot of the indicator. So you might not have the live version of it where you see things evolving and developing and you could trade, but it gives you a picture of what it looks like in that moment as the alert is being sent. And you can see that the moment this was sent out, it was a rev minus around resistance. And eventually, this signal played out beautifully, right? 69.97 actually moved lower. It was this drop here, I believe. Okay. So are we all tracking here, guys? Just want to make sure. I know I'm saying a lot, but I'm trying to be thorough because I'm getting a lot of questions and just want to make sure I'm covering everything. Um, the last thing I want to call out here is that um, there are two states for the monkeyBOT. There's a confirmed state, which is these candle colors that you see here, the cyan or magenta or whatever color you make it. And then there's a yellow candle. And the yellow candles are basically pending candles. Okay. And the pending basically is a heads up, as I said earlier. It's a heads up because sometimes what happens is that you have the conditions, developing so quickly that by the time the candle is confirmed, basically when that candle closes, when the candle is yellow and the candle closes, that changes colors from the green or the gray into the cyan or magenta. But what we wanted to do is create this pending state, which gives you this heads up as soon as possible. Because we noticed that when you see that yellow candle, you often get these very quick moves. Okay. And so you can see that here. See this yellow candle over here? This is a pending candle. So that means that the 50-minute candle has yet to close, but it is developing a short. Whereas these candles over here, these were yellow. The 50-minute candle closed yellow, and then they changed color into cyan or magenta, and they remain on the chart forever. So some of you might not. Some of you have approached me like, "Hey, I don't see that yellow candle in my chart," and that's why, right? Or I don't see that alert in the Discord in the indicator. Well, it's because it might have changed color, or it came and it moved away, and like it came for a second and it went away. There are a lot of different reasons for that, but basically understand that there are two states: pending state when the candle is yellow, and then you have the confirmed state, meaning the yellow candle. Um, that candle closed with a yellow pending state, and it changed color and remains on the chart forever. Okay, so that's it. Now, the Discord room, and think about this: like, what's the best way? Like, how do you take an indicator and create signals for Discord, right? And the way to do it is creating some, parameters or creating guardrails around to ensure that the Discord room gets really good quality signals. And so the way we've developed it, me and John, and the whole team has helped really, is that if you get a candle that flashes yellow twice, meaning you get a candle that goes yellow and then it goes off and it comes back again, that shoots off a signal into the alerts channel. Okay, that is basically the mechanism And so uh, one yellow candle goes off, two yellow candles, like the same candle turns yellow. That is when this shoots out a short or a long signal. And we've realized that by doing it this way, it removes a lot of um, the signals that might be scalpable, and what is there for you inside of the Discord room are high quality trades that could develop into longer term holds. So I don't see a yellow candle here yet, um, but that is I think the most important thing to look for. Now, what you're seeing here in front of me is how I use monkeyBOT. I use the 10 on the left, the 15 in the middle, and the 30-minute on the right. So what I'm doing here is a multi-time frame analysis on the S&P 500 as I'm trading it. As I said earlier, the higher the time frame, the better quality it is. Okay? And so what I'm looking for here is the 30-minute to show me a pending state candle, meaning a yellow candle. If I see that, I'll be really, really interested in seeing if we get those kind of signals on the 10 or the 15. If that happens, if you see the 10, the 15, and the 30-minute lighting up yellow, that's a really good sign for a potential big move. Okay. Now, that is a huge benefit, I would say, if you're an active trader and you have this indicator, you'll be able to use it. Look at this yellow candle on the left, guys. Okay. You have an expansionary candle on the 10-minute at 7,012.97, and we're pushing higher. Now, what I'm looking for here is, do we see this yellow showing up here and here? If we get that, I think we can move to 7,028, 7,030. My 7,005 calls are now in the money. They're trading around 11. And so I'm very much interested in kind of following this development here, but I'm very happy that we're seeing this yellow. Look at the bottom left here, and it might be hard for you to see, but it says pending long. It's pending because the 10-minute candle has not closed in the yellow state. The 15-minute is firing now. All right. So we're seeing exactly what I was talking about playing out live. And now, lastly, the 30-minute. That is the big one. Okay. If that starts flashing, you can see how we're expanding here. We're moving faster, right? We're moving faster through the high day. We've pushed a few points higher. And now I want to see the 30 push through here. And we can see that bigger move into new highs. Okay. So very, very interesting. Look at the volume delta down here. It's expanding. Look how big it is here on the 10-minute. It's moving higher on the 15. You can see that we're moving to the upside on the volume delta. You can see that the tick is pushing higher on the 10, the 15, the 10, and so on. Now, the 30 is still slightly less, but let's see what happens. This might change. So I want to keep it here. I want to use this as kind of a live view of what's going on here. But um, let's just follow this here. This is really good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of point out Alpha poised for 100 billion windfall on SpaceX. Headline. Pop on that, Google. Yeah, we might roll this out for Thinkorswim. Currently, it's within TradingView because of how it works, and this is kind of like what we're doing here. Uh, but with time, we are basically working on this, and we're developing it, and we'll see if there's enough demand. I don't see why not. I know a lot of you guys use it. But the cool part of it is that it works really well at TradingView, and anybody can get an account there. All right, so I'm sitting here just watching this, and meanwhile, um, all right. So as I said, with the bottom panel here, it's the tick. So how many stocks are moving higher? How many stocks are moving lower? Some of you watch the TICK symbol on TradingView, and so this just takes that and plots it out. Okay, and it tells you how strong the trend is. So I'm not loving that it's pushing lower here, that it kind of curled lower here, but it's still positive, and so far it's fine. Um, yes. So as I said, one of the members asking about having multi time frame uh, view on this. This is exactly what this is. It all works together. And so if you have the indicator, you can basically take uh, a a you can zoom out and you can look at the 10, the 50, and then the 30. You can trade it according. Okay. Um, any other questions here so far, guys? If anybody has questions, feel free to post it. Um, the cumulative tick is basically taking the tick throughout the day and adding it up cumulatively throughout the day into a line that plots out with time. So that's what you're seeing here. Okay. Now, going back to the different ways of using monkeyBot, um, it's very clear, right? You can install the indicator, and the indicator could be installed very easily once you sign up. Okay, and we have the link somewhere. I know John will probably post it. You'll go to indicators, you go to invite only, and you'll find it there. Okay, and if you do that, you will basically see uh, what you see here. Okay, you will see this panel, and you will see this panel. Now, there will be another, and this is a bonus indicator for you. That's the cumulative tick. And that is another indicator. So same way, you go to indicators, invite only, and you will add it to your chart, and it will show up hopefully below this. And this is just how I like it stacked. The chart, the the volume delta with the dashboard, and then the cumulative tick. Okay. Um, I'm looking at the chat, guys, because I want to make sure I'm answering your questions. That's what this is all about. Garrett has a really good question. Is there any way of knowing whether a signal is likely to lead to a stronger or weaker move, either gamma or volume or something else, like the grade of signal? That's an excellent question, which actually was going to get into. It's like, what makes a good signal? And as always, a signal is um, just that, right? Bunch of parameters lining up in such a way, and it's been tested many months, and we've come to the conclusion that they're very valuable signals. But in the end, what actually helps and what actually will make you a lot of money is if you could take the indicator or the signal inside of Discord and merge it with a playbook. Right? So we all have playbooks, hopefully. And if you don't, if you're not with Trade with Insight, please join us because we will help you develop playbooks. And playbooks are just different strategies that you can take on throughout the day to trade. But one of the playbooks are, failed breakdowns, right? So um, let's say, actually, what I'm going to do is this, right? I'm going to do this. Let's say you have a failed breakdown. So you have a daily candle that looks like this, and let's say you have another candle. Sorry, you have the low from yesterday right here, right? And in today's session, we open up above, right? And we break through yesterday's lows, right? And so this could mean continuation to the downside, right? And so that is something to watch. But according to my playbook, if this move down fails and you see a recovery of the previous day low or previous week low or overnight low in the ES session, or any of those, that could be nice long because you'll have technically you'll have trapped shorts down here and you'll see this fast move up. So if you're watching monkeyBOT, what you want to see basically is an EXP signal, right? So failed breakdown plus monkeyBOT long signal equals potential all day move. Okay. So, you know, that's kind of a simplified view of it. But for me, that is what makes this powerful. It gives you that extra confirmation for what you're already looking at. Another way of looking at it is like, um, so you have yesterday's highs here. And so let's say yesterday's highs over here, right? And you're opening up and you're trending in a little bit of a range. And all of a sudden, you break yesterday's highs, right? And what you're doing here now is you're waiting for that back test and you get that back test. You get a back test of yesterday's highs. And just like that, right? Just like that, you get a, let's say, a rev plus sign, basically a long with an arrow pointing up uh, on yesterday's highs. Well, for me, that just means that we're continuing higher, right? It just means that the conditions are there for a potential hold on this back test, and you want to take a shot at this. So I think the best signals are the ones that are uh, it's a hybrid between the technical setup and the monkeyBOT signal. Um, so that would be my biggest kind of like advice to everybody using this tool is like make sure you're like you trust it, but also you have to kind of confirm what you're seeing through the technicals. Okay. If you don't use Trading View Indicator, Ray, then the way to be exposed to monkeyBOT is through the Discord, which will show you these signals. Okay, it will give you a snapshot of the picture and that you can view. Okay, it's not as live, it's not as it's not as fluid, or it's not as instant. And there are some parameters that will decide, the signal, yes or no, up or down. But that is a really good way of getting exposure to this. And starting this week, the monkeyBOT Discord alert channel, the monkeyBOT chat channel, and the monkeyBOT educational channel is all included into your pro membership at TWI. This was separate, okay, in the past only. Now, there's also a plan that you can subscribe to, which is just the monkeyBOT Discord part of it, okay, for a cheaper rate. But TWI Pro, you'll have that plus everything that we offer, which is live streaming, workshops, chat, all kinds of stuff. Okay, that's correct, Garrett. So Garrett is was the person that asked about what tells us if it's a very good signals or not. So I think they got it. Any other questions here that could help you utilize this tool in a way that can give you confidence and all that? I've covered a lot already. We've been going for quite some time, but I feel like we're doing pretty well here. Um, and what I would say is that we've done pretty good. We've This shows the 173 plus signals since launching. If you had stop loss, 10-point stop loss, and as you know, we've had very high VIX lately. So 10 points is just something that made sense within this period. We've had a lot of good results. Basically captured 2,700, almost 3,000 points with an average drawdown of 3 points. Um, okay. Any other questions? Um, if you're a pro member, once again, you have access to this indicator for the next I think 7 days or so. Starting Monday, we had a 10-day trial. Okay, and so the way to do that is there's a link that John just posted in the chat room. And John, if you don't mind doing that, same link for the. Actually, I'll do it on WAP here. I'll do it on WAP. I just did it. Um, if you can sign up for the trial, you get 10 days of actually using this indicator, and you can get a kind of feel for it. And so I know that if you use this 10 days and you really put an effort into it, it's going to be hard not trading without it. But that's a really good way of kind of getting a feel for it. We haven't done that before. I don't think we're gonna do it ever again. And I would just jump on that. And also, if you're a member, TWL member, you'll get a discount. I think 30% discount off your first month or something, which is fantastic. Um, so I think that's all I have to say in regards to that. And I'm not trying to sell it like that. I think many of you who've watched me use this, many of you who have used it, understand the value of this. And so I think it's just going to speak for itself. I think the point with this session was to give you a real nice overview of what it is and how to use it. Now, good question, Shadow. Has this been tested on ES? Yes. But the way to use it on ES is during RTH, real trading hours, between 9:30 and 4 p.m. Eastern, you can trade the SPX signals or triggers on ES, and it's great. We have one of the members kind of jokingly saying that they paid for the year on that 10-day trail trial. So if you're an active trader, I think it will pay for itself. Um, yes, 5 minute works, and if you're a scalper, Shadow Addy, 5 minutes works. 2 minutes works too. I mean, you can see this here, right? This is the SPX. And I mean that's 3 points. This is from 10 plus points almost. 7,000 broke. So yes, absolutely you can use it for ES. I know Jay Money uses it as well. He has that going. He is an ES trader. Oh, look at that, guys! Look at that. Right. So 50 minutes flashing, 30-minute flashing. We're testing 7,020. 7,020. And I think we can move 25, 28 is your target.